Good morning, everyone. All right. Wow, pretty bright lights. Very bright lights. Okay, so very happy to be here. My name is Max Amordeluso. I work with Amazon. I have the privilege, I see, of working with Alexa. It's a privilege. I define a privilege because I grew up reading about science fiction, reading about computers, the speak technology that changes life, and I have this fantastic job. I just go around Europe and around the world occasionally to speak about Alexa, a cloud-based voice service that enables humans to have conversation with computers. I'm an evangelist. I speak about these technologies for most of my time at events like this, through digital content, through communities, and so on. But today, I want to talk to you about a just slightly different angle. So this is the first time that I dedicated an entire talk on one theme that is particularly close to my interest, to my heart. So how can voice user interfaces, and specifically Alexa, which I represent, can improve or can provide opportunities to build experiences to extend independence for older adults living alone, living in their homes. So now, I originally titled this deck Voice User Interfaces for the Elderly. Then recently, somebody that is a very reputable professional in this field or working a lot with this team, so made me notice that elderly is not necessarily something that I should be using. I should use instead older adults, because nobody likes to be called old. I discovered last week that I'm 3 years away from being considered middle-aged, and I don't like that. So I can definitely relate to this. So let's talk about older adults. Let's talk about this enormously wide range of humans. But just first of all, let's just set the context with what Alexa is. So Alexa is a cloud-based voice service that enables humans to converse with computers to get things done. It's a voice user interface, and when done right, and I'm borrowing here the third law from Arthur Clarke, is almost magical. It's something pretty fantastic. But how did we get into this in Amazon? Everything started with the vision of the Star Trek computer, so an entity that could be reached from anywhere, that knew a lot of things, with which we could converse easily in a natural way. And how we got there? We got there with things like machine learning. We discovered that phenomenal conclusions could be drawn by machine learning when fed big data sets. Another trend was obviously the cloud. Before the cloud, it was pretty hard to have this level of computational power, virtually unlimited storage that we do have nowadays. There are still some of us that remember a world pre-dawning cloud. Now it's ubiquitous, but we needed that to make Alexa possible. And then the third and most important factor, the voice is natural. Voice is what we use to communicate between humans. This is how we gauge the development of new human beings. This is something that we can use to communicate without thinking. It's ours. It's our voice print. We don't have to learn a different way to use it. Now, and that's exactly the point, this initial point that I want to make, that voice interfaces are natural. We tried a number of things. We tried text-based interfaces, touch-based interfaces, which are, some of them are fantastic for a specific purpose, but they all have in common one thing. We have to learn how to use them. Voice is different. This is the inherent beauty of it. Voice is ours. It's our way of speaking. If we do the technology underlying receiving this voice right, it truly becomes a magical experience that is able to understand us the natural way we speak. So, very important point. Now, think about technologies like mobile devices. We cannot imagine a life without mobile devices, right? It would be unimaginable. Things like this setting. So this is a social setting, supposed to be a social setting, but it's a very personal relationship with technology, even in this social setting. Voice, conversely, just by the fact that it's projected outside, enables ambient interactions. So hence ambient computing, of which voice is a very important component. Now let's talk about the specific. Now that we set a little bit of what Alexa is, or what does, and why it's important for humans to have a natural way of conversing with technology, let's talk about the main theme of my brief conversation today. So, aging. Aging is a worldwide phenomenon. Currently, or at least a 2017 estimate, 635 million people are 65 and older in our planet. And this is only growing. And this is an interesting phenomenon because it goes across nationalities, it goes across boundaries, it goes across a number of things because it's common to pretty much everywhere in the world. If everything works right in the natural progression of things, older people are, or younger people have to take care of older people. So there is a lot of growing number, an enormously large number of people that needs to be taken care of or somehow helped to continue their life in a decent and dignified way. So enters technology. There are ways, this is my thesis, especially with voice user interfaces nowadays, that we can leverage, we can build today, not tomorrow, not aspirationally, but today, and some of these are being built, that we can leverage to extend this independence of older adults living alone. So let's check a couple of use cases here. Let's talk about social isolation. So aging brings a number of changes, physical, societal. A big one is a pattern of social isolation, or at least a diminishing of social context. So a technology like the one that we're discussing here can help in two ways, in my opinion. First of all, enables a human to have an excuse to speak out loud. So I don't have the science with me under it, but I am firmly convinced that there is a therapeutic and positive effect of speaking out loud with ourselves. But sometimes we feel silly. Speaking with using a voice user interface enables us to do that. So there must be something positive only in the possibility of engaging those language areas of our brain. And that's one point. Second point, like you see in these cases, we do have devices nowadays available that are voice-enabled that carry visual and image and video information, connecting families in a synchronous and asynchronous way. It's a big deal. This is a big deal for older adults living alone. Another thing, think about governing or managing a house just with your voice. For some of us, this is a luxury. It's a novelty. It's something cool to have. It's something that enables us to change channel on our TV without standing up from the sofa, or engaging with the remote, or turning up and down the temperature, or the blinds, or doing something else, or putting up the coffee machine, or the whatever is being used to warm up the water, to make tea. But the point is, for a lot of us, this is a luxury. For some other people, it could be a life-changing technology. Think about if there are mobility issues. Mobility issues that are surpassed to some extent by voice technology. Think about a person that can simply with their voice managing the environment around them. Think about interacting with their home, with their ambient. Or think about doing things like reminding proactively of pills or drugs or therapies or things like that could definitely make your home function as your personal assistant, your entire home, your entire ambient that is very familiar to you. Now, another use case is, for example, there is a concept that I am absolutely in love with. It's that of cognitive fitness. So and the context is to have part of the population, of aging population, subject to degeneration, neurological degeneration, cognitive impairments, and so on. But why, instead of concentrating on the negative side, why not concentrating on the fitness part? Assume that it's okay, and let's maintain that good, fit cognitive ability with cognitive fitness. And we can do this. There is a lot of science out there. You can do this with games, with the study of baselining of biomarkers in your voice, your timbre, your gait. There is a lot of things that can be done nowadays. All of this fantastic technology can be surfaced with voice. The point here is that I'm not telling you that all of these things are just possible with Alexa. What I'm telling you here is that Alexa is a voice user interface that represents the natural interactions of humans with these technologies. And there is a lot to do in this specific space. And also, do not forget that aging people, they still want to have fun. There's a whole market out there. If you don't do it for good, do it for the market opportunity. The addressable market is enormous. Think about the entertainment, the specific tailored entertainment experiences that can be created in this space. And the Alexa world is expanding globally. Alexa speaks many languages, and the point here is that whatever you build here today, you can build two types of things as a macro level. You can build skills, which are the equivalent in the Alexa world of voice-enabled apps, or you can build physical devices with Alexa in it that are voice-enabled. There is one startup here that is actually exposing on the floor. Their name is WeWalk. So this is a Turkish startup that is very present here on the UK market. They created a phenomenal cane for visually impaired people, and that is also voice-enabled. Think about all the synergies, all the mixed opportunities that you can create by interchanging these opportunities, this technology. So this is an example of some of the skills that have been created. There is more than 90,000 in the world. And this can be created today. Now, with regards of the possibility of creating the devices that I just mentioned, there is a framework. It's called Alexa Voice Service that can be used to build Alexa into physical products. If your product has a microphone, a speakerphone, and an internet connection, you can put Alexa in it with this framework. And think about a wearable, think about apparel, think about appliances, anything you might think that has an interaction with a human, potentially could be enabled with voice, with this framework. So with that, I leave you with the idea that we have the technology. The technology is just out there, and it can be built today, so we should do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Max. That was fascinating. Right, something very special coming up now. We have the, thank you very much. We have the 600...